Good morning, exhibitors and spectators of the beef show. We will be getting started in 10 minutes. So please have the first class on deck. We're probably going to be moving along as quickly as we can today. So try to watch your program and follow along. And try to be ready and on deck when called. I would like to do some thank yous right now. I would like to thank all my helpers that have been helping Kurt and I, beef superintendents. So I'd like to just thank everybody who has made this happen. It's great to be back. Kurt. I'd like to thank the Dressen family. They're a big help to us every year. So 10 minutes, I will call the first class. We'll be going in the ring.
And once again, good morning. I'm Brian Winnikins. We are at the Pierce County Fair as we get ready for the Pierce County Fair's beef show this morning, and again we'll be starting in about 10 minutes or so as we're just ready to get underway, and we'll have all of the beef classes today. We'll be going up to class N, and that's where we will break away, or class looks like it's going to be class N, and that's going to be the last class, would be the club beef herd. So we'll find out more about that as we get closer to that part, but we'll be starting with the registered beef breeding classes this morning in just a few minutes, and throughout the morning we are like to say thank you to some pretty special people. These are all of our sponsors that have made our live streams possible today, and thank you to Wisconsin Credit Union, Shannon Crop Services, Synergy Co-op, the Happy Duck LLC, 24/7 and West Wisconsin Telcom. Also Pierce Pepin Cooperative Services, Alcivia Co-op, SFB Security Financial Bank, Probert Heating and Plumbing, Bruner Seeds, Martin Transports, also Osteoplastics, Compeer Financial, and Bluff Country Feed and Seed. And again, without the support of these businesses and organizations, pretty simple, we would not be having our live streaming coverage today of the beef show. Also later on tonight, the 4-H and FFA auction as well will be at about 6:30. And so again, please give these businesses a call, give them send them an email, tell them thank you for supporting our live streaming broadcasts on our YouTube channel at Duran Broadcasting WRDN. I'm Brian Winnikins. We'll be getting underway here in just a couple minutes. Sit tight. Again, good morning, everyone. I'm Brian Winnikins for Real Country 1430 AM and 107.3 FM WRDN on our live streaming service this morning from the Pierce County Fair. As we are getting ready for the Pierce County Fair Beef Show, we'll be starting in just a few moments. Again, thank you to our live streaming sponsors. Please thank these businesses and organizations. Without their support, pretty simple, wouldn't be able to watch it today. And thank you to Bluff Country Feed and Seed, Osteoplastics, Martin Transport, Bruner Seeds, Compeer Financial, also Hurlburt Heating and Plumbing, along with Elsivia Co-op, Pierce Pepin Co-op Services, SFB, Security Financial Bank, 24/7, and West Wisconsin Telecom, the Happy Duck LLC, Synergy Co-op, Shannon Crop Services, and Wisconsin Credit Union. Again, without the support of these businesses, we wouldn't be able to bring you today's beef show. We are almost ready to go. Starting with our first class of registered beef breeding classes. Class C Herefords will be coming out. That'll be our first class. So please thank all of our sponsors. Give them a call, drop them an email, visit their business. Please tell them thank you for supporting our live streaming today of the beef show. We'll also be having the livestock auction tonight as well. We are underway.
Good morning again. We have a judge change this morning. I know on the front of your show program that says Seth Kaler from St. Charles, Minnesota. He was unable to join us today. His wife is due to have a baby any day, and he had a slight injury himself. So today we have Justin Bloomer. He is going to be our judge today, and he is from Pipestone, Minnesota. I'm going to let Justin introduce himself and tell us a little bit about what he does. He'll be right back.
out here for your champion Hereford selection. This is a really nice single entry for the young man. Let's give him a nice round of applause.
Next entering the ring here in our beef show will be Class C, our Hereford Class 5, Heifer Calf Junior. On deck will be Class 6, Heifer Calf Senior, followed by Heifer Summer Yearling. Our ring person today is Brianna Dressen and her father, Jim Dressen.
Two nice heifer calves that are in this exhibition. I think both of them are pretty similar in terms of type and kind. They're cattle that have some bulbous and some curvature right to their rib. To me, what separates the pairs that you set in motion, the young lady that's the closest to me is going to go ahead and win this class. That's the one that just relaxes. Sorry, Emma. That's the one that just, she relaxes. She's a lot more comfortable in terms of her spine, and she's just more relaxed. She's more level in her top line as she gets out and travels. That's one that's just not better on the move. The young lady that's going to come in second, that calf at times wants to be more rigid in her spine. She wants to be more bowed up as she gets out and travels. But I think two heifer calves are bold and stout in terms of their feature. Nice pair of calves. Let's give those exhibitors a nice hand.
Winner of the class, Kennedy Rasmussen here, at least winner of the Lot 5, Kennedy Rasmussen. Again, we've just gotten underway here at the Pierce County Fairs Beef Show. We are in the registered beef breeding classes, Class C Herefords, where we're at.
body. She's got plenty of depth to her rib cage. Appreciate the extra length and extension that she's got up front. She's ultra cool and attractive and feminine from the profile. Just a really nice single entry female. It'll be fun to see her back out here for the champion Hereford drive. Let's give him a nice big round of applause as he exits the race.
In the ring at this time is lot 7, Heifer Summer Yearling. On deck we'll have Heifer Junior Yearling and Senior Yearling.
Another nice single entry in this particular class. The heifer that's got some bulbous of rib cage and certainly soundness a feature that she's got some foot size and some bone and some face width. Maybe relatively to the other seat. Maybe quite as balanced and attractive from the profile as some of the other ones we've seen, but I think that's one that's just really bold and stout in terms of feature. Going to make a nice crew count for the young lady. Let's give her a nice big hand. nice class of heifers out here on the beef side of things. Really good heifer to start. I think you talked about one that just balances up extremely good from the profile. I appreciate the extra volume and capacity that she has. She's ultra attractive from the side profile and neck, the way her neck attaches to the top side of her shoulder. Ultra long. Love the extra sweep that she's got to her rib cage. Really on a nice show to go ahead in this particular class. And ladies, the heifer that's going to come in next is one that's got some true muscle shape and dimension. Certainly appreciate that offer. To me, though, that one just gets to be a little bit more tubular and ripped in mine. We just like to soften that one up. Reach with more flexibility on both ends of her skeleton. But a nice class. Let's give those exhibitors a nice round of applause.
Jordan Lamb wins in that lot. Again, Jordan Lamb wins in that lot.
Another nice single entry here at the Turford Show. Another one that's going to be nice to look at and evaluate on the championship drive. Another one in terms of a group down perspective, there's a lot you can certainly appreciate. Talk about basic build and fundamentals and structural integrity. This one's as good as it gets. She's really good in terms of her foot times and structural integrity. She gets out and travels. Love the extra boldness and shape that she's got to her rib cage, the extra muscularity and dimension she has. Once again, it's going to be fun to see her out here in the championship Hereford drive. A really nice, complete female. Let's give her a nice big round of applause.
Running through our Hereford classes here in the registered breeding classes right now here from the Pierce County Fair. Again, thank you to Wisconsin Credit Union, Shannon Crop Services, Synergy Co-op, the Happy Duck LLC, 24/7 and West Wisconsin Telecom, Pierce Pepper Cooperative Services, Elsivia Co-op, SFB, Security Financial Bank, Hurlburt Heating and Plumbing, Bruner Seeds, Martin Transport, Osteoplastics, Compeer Financial, and Bluff Country Feed and Seed. Please thank all of our sponsors. Send them an email, give them a phone call. Appreciate if you did that. Let them know that you appreciated their sponsorship of these live streams, because without their support, we wouldn't be having them today.
at this time is Class C, Lot 11, our pair of breeding animals in our Hereford class. Following this class, since we had more than 5 classes of Hereford, we're going to pick a champion and a reserve champion of the Herefords. If you had a first blue ribbon, you will enter the ring after this class. If you had a second blue ribbon, you will be on deck waiting.
Nice pair of heifers out here. Like I said, 2 extremely high quality females out here that can certainly stand a lot more competition out here. Both females are really good. I appreciate the freshness that both of these females bring to the table. Really good in terms of their condition at this stage of the game, especially for some different ages. Both are cattle and have some features, some extra look and some balance. Like I said, a really nice pair of females that are somewhat different but uniform in terms of their type and kind, condition and finish. A really nice set of females. Let's give her a nice big hand.
All right, I'd like to call all of our first blue winners into the ring at this time. So Jacob Bazil, Madison Rasmussen, Brady Lamb, Madison Rasmussen, Jordan Lamb, and Jordan Lamb with her senior yearling.
Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Duran Broadcasting WRDN. Don't forget to click the bell for future notifications. We have livestock shows from Dunn, Buffalo County Fair, also Wabasha County Fair. Yesterday's swine show from the Pierce County Fair is already posted on our YouTube channel. Many other things. We'll have high school sports on there and more. Have some interviews as well and events from World Dairy Expo too. So like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Duran Broadcasting WRDN. And don't forget to click the bell for future notifications.
with a balance of maternal, female, feminine love. So with that being said, I'll go shake the hand of your champion Hereford. We'll drop the second from that class in consideration for reserve, and then we'll pick the reserve. But I think all the way through, a really nice way to start your 4-H breeding show with a really nice Hereford cattle. Let's show our appreciation and give them a nice big round of applause.
Jordan Lamb with the grand champion in this class. Braden Lamb with the reserve grand champion.
In our Hereford class, our champion was Jordan Lamb with her junior yearling, Pepper. And reserve champion goes to also Jordan Lamb with her senior yearling, Hereford Heifer. Now entering the ring is a single class. We're starting our Class D, Lot 8, our main and Jew.
Main on Jew female, like I said, I kind of said it before, but truly could stand a lot of competition. The young lady, you can tell, has done a tremendous amount of work to get this one presented for today's show. Really awesome in terms of her hair code, just overall presentation. Appreciate the extra length and extension she has up front, the boldness and the curvature she's got in her rib cage. Tons of volume, going to be a really nice brood cow for the young lady. Like I said, certainly one that could stand a lot more competition and deserving of her blue ribbon. Let's give her a nice big round of applause.
Now entering the ring is Class G, our Semitol class. Lot 3, our bull calf On deck, we'll have our heifer junior yearling, followed by a pair of breeding animals.
Watching the beef show from the Pierce County Fair this morning, Brian Winnekins for WRDN. Thank you for joining us on our live streaming service this morning. Thank you to Bluff Country Feed and Seed, Osteoplastics, Martin Transport, also Hurlburt Heating and Plumbing, Bruner Seeds, Compeer Financial, Alcivia Co-op, Pierce Pepin Co-op, 24/7 and West Wisconsin Telecom, the Happy Duck LLC, SFB, Synergy Co-op, Shannon Crop Services, and Wisconsin Credit Union. Sponsor of our live streaming broadcast today. Please thank them for their support.
We got a single entry January bull calf out here at the Simmental show, a half blood bull. I think that he's really intriguing in terms of the way the pieces that he brings together in terms of the Simmental breed. Ultra long and attractive front end. It's hard to find a good Simmental bull who just has that much extension up front as the way his neck attaches to the top side of his shoulder. He's pretty smooth in terms of his transition from his shoulder into his forehead. He's a big top, long spine, big outline kind of a bull that's got a tremendous amount of growth. I think a really nice individual that's, again, can stand a lot more competition. Let's show him our appreciation and give him a nice big hand.
In the ring right now is Class G, our Simmental Lot 8 heifer junior yearling. On deck, Lot 11, pair of breeding animals. Followed by Class H, Lot 4, heifer, calf, summer, any other. Another nice single entry here in the Percentage Simmental show, a January female there's a tremendous amount of quality to that one in terms of just freshness and presentation. I just love that one's build in terms of foot size and bone and structural integrity. I love the extra volume and shape that she's got. She's got some natural thickness and dimension as you work her way down her. And she's got plenty of feminine youthfulness up front, like her head shape and her neck as well. Just a really nice, complete female that go ahead and be a single entry. It's going to be fun to see her out here in the Supreme Drive. It's a really high quality one. Let's show her our appreciation and give her a nice big hand. Could I please have Jacob Bazil come up to the superintendent's table, please?
Daddy, what's up?
that's just ultra intriguing in terms of its front end design, and the heifer is just ultra complete in terms of what she brings to the table. Extremely high quality pair of animals that, like I said, it'd be fun to see some more out here to compete against because I think they're extremely high quality. Let's show our appreciation and give them a nice big hand.
Next to be entering the ring will be Class H, Lot 4, our heifer calf summer. Entry here in the AOB division, like I said, just a really nice single entry calf, a calf that's got some practicality to her. I like just the functionality she brings to the table. She's ultra sound in terms of her structure. I like the extra true dimension and muscularity that she brings to the table from the front end of her skeleton all the way back. She's got some boldness and some shape to her rib cage as well. Maybe in comparison to some of the other calves, I'd like to change her ever so slightly. I'd like to maybe balance her up ever so slightly, just a little bit. Give her a shot more true depth of body to move her, to make her just a notch better. But I think one that's got some functionality and some practicality, so we're going to be a nice fruit cow for the young lady. Let's show her our appreciation and give her a nice big hand.
If anyone would like a program for the beef show, we do have a few more up here on the table. Thank you.
Next in our ring will be our AOB Class 7 heifer summer yearling.
it's just kind of hard to get a balance or a profile look from her. But I think there's one that, like I said, if I could change that one, she wants to get a little bit rounder out of her hip. That's just where I like to change that one ever so slightly. But one from a basic build down as a feature standpoint, we really appreciate that one. Let's give him a nice round of applause.
In the ring at this time is our AOB Heifer Senior Yearling. On deck, our cow-calf pair. Correction, Lot 8 is in the ring, followed by our Lot 9. On deck, though, please, cow-calf pair.
Another single entry out here in this particular class. I think another one that we just appreciate from a foot size and instructional standpoint. I love the extra length of body that she's got, the level she is to the top of her shoulders. She's long and level out of her hips, and sets her tail head in there extremely nicely. Also youthful, attractive up to the front one third of her body as well. To me, if we can change that whatever so slightly into, we just like to give her a shot more softness of rib cage. I'd like to give her a shot more true muscle dimension down through her center and lower quarter. But I think that one is really good in terms of her lines, really good in terms of her pattern. This is a really nice female for the young lady. Let's give him a nice big round of applause. Side of the ring, one that you talked about, one that just really appreciates in terms of her build, the top side of her skeleton down. I like that one in terms of true muscularity, true thickness and dimension. As you study her right behind her, in the back side of her shoulder, she carries out with so much curvature and shape to her ribs. She's one that's got some length of body, some length of time. She's long and level out of her hips. If I could change that whenever so slightly, she's just a little bit more jammed up, a little bit more conventional in terms of her front end design. She's a notch longer toe to her feet that I'd like to see. But one that you can talk about, one building one from the top down. You can certainly appreciate her boldness and extra thickness and dimension. Another nice individual for the young lady. Let's give her a nice hand. another single entry individual in the cow calf division. Here can be tells it's a 2-year-old cow. This is their first calf. A really nice June baby on her. I tell you what, this is a nice, really good functional cow. She's really good in terms of her condition. I like how refined her teeth are underneath her as well. Just a really nice calf to go ahead and run alongside her. A cow that's really big out behind. She's got some boldness and some softness in her rib cage. Sound in terms of structure. Really like the boldness that she's linked female with a really nice calf inside. Let's give her a nice big round of applause. A nice pair. Here on the other side of the ring, a pair of females, a nice pair of heifers. I think they're just a notch more probably contrasting in terms of type and kind that we've seen through today in terms of just matching a pair up. We've got a heifer that's probably a shot more bolder and a shot stouter in terms of the top side of her scales and down. And then we've got another one that's really long and streamlined in terms of her look, extra youthful and attractive up front, extra stiffness of foot size and bone underneath. I think if we could combine them, I think it'd make a really nice female. But 2 heifers in their own right that are really, really nice. I think a nice pair of heifers, but a little bit more contrasting in terms of uniformity. But I think a nice pair of heifers that are making nice cows for the young ladies. Let's give them a nice big round of applause.
All right, at this time we're going to do a champion in reserve of our AOB.
down to personal preferences for me, nitpicky things to separate them. It gets pretty close to me, but I'll take one last look, and I'll show you that I think is the best, and then I'll shake the hand of your reserve. So with that being said, let's show our appreciation and give them a nice big round of applause.
Now we will also go back and we will pick our registered beef breeding bull. In the ring will be Jacob Brazil with his Hereford bull calf, and Keith Brown with his Simmental bull calf senior.
Champion bull selection, we've just got 2 to pick from, and like I said, I certainly wish we had some more to talk about and discuss and evaluate. But I think the 2 that we got here are exceptionally good. There's certainly a large age difference. They've got a June baby and a January baby, and so there's definitely an age of performance in one versus the other. And I think both cattle are exceptionally good and exceptionally practical in terms of their type and kind. They're ultimately ultra complete. To me, though, there's just one that's just a notch more intriguing in terms of pieces that he brings to the table, in terms of representing that specific breed. Young man Simmental will be your champion, and the Hereford will be reserved. Congratulations.
Next in the ring, we will be doing our champion registered beef breeding female. I would like to call Jordan Lamb, Emma Brown, Keaton Brown, and Andrea Hinsman. registered breeding bull went to Jacob Bazil. Congratulations.
As we get these cows situated and get stomped on the profile, I think an exceptional lineup of females down here to consideration for your championing or reserve. I think certainly a lot of differences in terms of type and kind. We started with the Hereford female out here, and I think she was one that, to be truthfully honest with you, won that division quite handily. That's one that just is so balanced from the side. I appreciate the cowiness that she brings to the table. She's ultra maternal in terms of her look. She's just ultra cool in terms of her mouth. Love the extra softness and sweet but depth. She carries that back to a rear ribbon flight. In comparison to some of the other ones out here, she is truly dimensional, especially when you get right behind her. Some of the ones right behind her, I don't know if she is, but I think she's stout enough, and she's got enough boldness and rib shape and body to her. Like I said, I especially love that from the side. You set that one in motion. The heifer can come out of a select group or a single division is another one that you can just really appreciate for the freshness and youthfulness that she brings to the table. She's probably the best in terms of the base of her chest. Tipping that up, and she's ultra youthful in terms of type and kind. To me, when we set that one, she just breathes better out of her dude. She just gets to be a little bit stiffer and straighter there from top to ground. Doesn't want to reach with as much flex and authority as some of the heifers on either side of her, but one that just is ultra-dimensional, ultra-stout featured, ultra-fresh in terms of her condition. A really nice main heifer in that particular division. Young man Simmental that come out here, boy, she hit the ring, and it's hard not to like the type and kind that she brings to the table. Ultra-bold, ultra-stout in terms of feature. Appreciate that one in terms of her build from the ground up. If I can change that one ever so slightly, she gets to be pushed down just a notch more in her brisket than what I'd like to see at this stage of the game. But beyond that, that's one that's ultra bold in terms of her feature, ultra stout in terms of her build, just ultra three-dimensional and cowy, maternal look, sound, super sound when you set her in motion. Nice one to be on your contention as well. And then we got the cow-calf pair, and it's fun to look at type of cattle like this because these are highly underrepresented within the cattle industry. You don't see too many like that, but for her breed she represents, she's an awfully nice one for a younger female and doing a tremendous job of feeding that calf. Like I said, nice underneath of her, really good in terms of her lines and her profile. So with that being said, I think it gets awfully close. It gets to be personal preferences and how you want to build them in terms of type and kind. And you step back and you study them and where they fit represented to their breed. So I'll put the mic down, take one last look, and I'll show you the two that I like. But a really nice set. Let's show our appreciation, give them a nice big hand. nice place to start in this particular class. Young lady's red upper calf that's going to start. That's the one that's truly the most three-dimensional from the ground up. That's the one that's the boldest in terms of her center body. That's the one that has the most true thickness and dimension when you study her on the top side of her skeleton, out of her hip. I love the curvature and shape that she's got to her rib cage. I love her stoutness of feature. She puts together an extremely balanced look from the side. Young lady does a nice job of getting that one stuck and shown. Just a really nice, complete heifer to go ahead and start. It gets to be a little bit closer here between second and third. I think two that are really different in terms of their type and kind. The second heifer that comes in second, maybe more of a limited influence, appears to be more of a limited influence female, is one that's tremendous in terms of her muscle shape, heritage of the Limousin breed. She's one that just blends so much better to the point of her shoulder into her forearm. Appreciate the extra thickness and dimension she has. Maybe we just like to make that one notch better in terms of balance and proportion. Gives me a little bit lighter bone underneath. The tail head wants to come up ever so slightly, but one that's round and dimensional, stout feature, nice one to land in second. Young lady's heifer that's going to land in third is a really rugged, stout featured, heavy bone one. Appreciate that about her. Really soft in terms of her center body. To me, she just gets to be flatter there at the top side of her rib cage. She wants to be pinched there in her forearm. Just one that just I'd like to open her up and bust her open in terms of for as big as she is, and the performance that she has. Need her just need her to have this notch more true volume and capacity. Young man's a Hereford heifer that's going to come in next. Probably has an advantage in terms of tying in better the point of her shoulder into her forearm. I like her length of side, length of spine, length of levelness of hip. To me, we just need to soften that one up in terms of her center body, the deepest part of her underline to the base of her chest. I like to soften her in terms of her center rib and body. Bust her open underneath. Give her a shot more true volume and capacity to move up any higher. Young lady's Hereford heifer that's going to go ahead and come in next is one that has some boldness of rib cage and has some length of side. You really appreciate that from the profile, but we just need to open that one up underneath, make her wider base, make her wider tracking as she comes at you and goes away. Give her more true thickness and dimension all the way through, with a nice one that's got a nice profile, a nice pattern from the side. Same for the young lady's heifer rounding out the class, one that has some foot size and circumference of bone underneath of her relative to her size and her age. So maybe we just need to make that one better balanced in terms of her look from the side, to make that neck attach higher than the top side of her shoulder, make her be a notch more powerful from both ends of her skeleton. With a nice class, let's give those kids a nice hand. One that I think there's parts and pieces to that one you can really gravitate towards. I like the extra youthfulness and femininity that she has up to the front end of her skeleton, the shape of her head and youthfulness that she has. She's one that's ultra long spine and has some depth of body. To me, like I said, she's ultrasound in terms of her structure. She has plenty of reach and athleticism. Just a nice, bold, strong female that can stand some more competition. Let's give him a nice round of applause.
time is our Class I, Lot 4, Heifer Summer Yearling class. On deck will be Lot 5, Heifer Junior Yearling, followed by Lot 7.
And I think in terms of just completeness and the one that brings the most positive to the table, the young lady smoky color heifer to me is the most complete one. That's the best in terms. That's the one that's the best. The balance. I appreciate that one's extra youthfulness and extension up to the front 1/3 of her body, especially for being a summer shader condition at this stage of the game. She's really three-dimensional in terms of her base width and bulbous to her center body and depth of rear rib and flank. She's one that's just ultra cool and attractive from the profile. This is a really nice complete one to go ahead and start. Young man's heifer that's going to come in next is certainly is dimensional in terms of her build. She's extra thick in terms of her dimension. The top side of her skeleton down through her hip and down through her lower leg and quarter. She's got plenty of foot size and bone. Maybe we just need to, from a show ring perspective, we need to reconstruct that one in terms of balance. She's a little bit rounder out of her hip, a little plainer up front, but a really nice three-dimensional one landing second. Young man's Highlander influence, one that's going to come third, is one that has some soundness and some flexibility, but relative to the top two, she comes up the finest in terms of her rib shape, the lightest muscle, the narrowest in terms of her construction. But a nice place, nice set of heifers. Let's give those kids a nice hand.
Entering the ring at this time should be our Lot 5, our Heifer Junior Yearling class.
Once again, good morning. I'm Brian Winnikins at the Pierce County Fair. It's the Pierce County Fair Beef Show with live streaming coverage. A little bit of Friday the 13th affecting us today as our hotspot failed, but I was able to get it working again. So apologize for the drop in the stream here just a little bit ago, but it looks like everything's all back to normal. Log on to our website at realcountry1430.com. You can listen to us online. We have 7 hours of farm programming every day, farmers. Kicks off every Monday through Friday from 5 to 7 a.m. with the WRDN Morning Farm Report. News with Max Armstrong, news with yours truly. We also have market updates, newsmaker interviews with leaders of the agricultural industry, agriculture, weather, and more. Hourly markets during the morning and afternoon. We have our noon show starting at about 12:30 to 1. And then from 1 to 3 is Chip Flory with Agri Talk. And from 3 to 4, Mike Adams with Adams on Agriculture. At 4:30, Susan Littlefield is in, and she has the latest market news. Many of the brokers from around the country with Final Bell. And at 4:30, we wrap up the day with Max Armstrong and Farm Progress America. Your home for farm news in western Wisconsin, WRDN, 1430 AM and 107.3 FM. And you can listen to us online at realcountry1430.com. Click on the Listen Now button. If you have an Android phone, you can listen to us through our Android app that you can download. iPhone and iPad users use the TuneIn app and do a search for WRDN. And if you have an Alexa, just say, Alexa, play WRDN.
On deck will be lot 7, our cow calf here.
Lots of heifers out here. Certainly some differences in terms of type of kind as we've seen throughout the day, but this quality heifer, white top heifer, to me is just the most complete in terms of putting one together. She's the one that combines true base weight, true volume, true capacity, true boldness of skeleton, and combines that with a really nice profile, really nice attractive look. Appreciate the extra stoutness that she has on her hip. Appreciate the extra boldness and freshness she brings to the table, how good and clean she is there at the base of her chest. A nice white top female to go ahead and start. Young man Kevin's going to come in next is one they just really appreciate from a basic build standpoint. She's ultrasound in terms of her movement. She's ultra athletic on the move. Just really nice in terms of her overall maternal look. But for me, that's one that I just like to bowl her up in terms of her center body. Give her a notch more true spring of rib when you get right behind her. But from a profile standpoint, a structural standpoint, that's one you can really latch on to and gravitate towards. It's going to be a really nice functional cow for the young man. It gets to be a little bit closer here, but between third and fourth, and there's certainly there's the biggest variation in terms of type and kind. That lady's heifer that's going to come in next, I think it's just a notch smoother, and it's just not more genuine in terms of her condition for me for today. She's one that balances up just a notch better from the profile. She's one that's just a notch fresher in terms of her condition. Just a notch more attractive up to the front 1/3 of her body. She too is one that we need to soften her in terms of her center rib cage. We need to fold her up in terms of her ribbon body and make her a notch wider attracting as she comes at you and goes away. The modern framed powerhouse female is the one that's going to come in next. And like I said, I don't mind them when they're modern framed. That's certainly something that people can gravitate towards. But to me, she's just pushed the envelope in terms of condition for me today. She's one that wants to be more rigid there in her spine as she gets out and travels. One that's ultra bold, ultra sound featured. Just need to soften that one in terms of her spine and just trim her up in terms of her condition. New maid's heifer that's going to come in next has got some pieces you can really appreciate. She's got some foot size and some bone to her. Certainly admire that about her. She's already the biggest footed soundest featured one in the entire class. But for me, we just need to make that one more three-dimensional, particularly in her rib cage. She gets to be a notch flatter in terms of her rib design. I like to clean her up underneath cosmetics to make her cleaner there in terms of her navel. One that's extra stout in terms of her feature. The herper and the hearing heifer that's giving this young lady some trouble. She's doing a really good job of sticking with her. She's kind of pushing her around. One that, again, has got some broodiness to her. She's got some youthfulness and some femininity. To me, though, she just gets to be a notch flatter in terms of her rib design, a notch flatter muscle in terms of muscularity. A little bit shallower there in her rib cage. But I think a really nice heifer to round out the class. She's going to go home and make a nice fruit cow. Let's see how these kids a nice big hand. Just a single entry on this side in the cow-calf division. A 3-year-old cow that's got a end of April baby, and she's doing a really good job of feeding this calf and taking care of him. She's doing it's a nice calf, or a nice heifer calf. She's got some thickness and some dimension to her. She's got some foot size and some bone, which you really appreciate. The female of the cow is one that's really structurally, appreciate the structural integrity that she has. She's got some foot size and some bone. Appreciate the length and extension that she's got. Ultra level in terms of her top line and her skeletal design. She's just doing a really nice job feeding this heifer calf. Let's show her our appreciation and give her a nice big round of applause.
Watching live streaming coverage of the Pierce County Fair Beef Show this morning on our live streaming service at Duran Broadcasting WRDN. Thank you to Wisconsin Credit Union, Shannon Crop Services, Synergy Co-op, the Happy Duck LLC.
At this time, we will pick our champion grade beef breeding female. Chef Leah Asher, Cora Kapasky,
Thank you to El Sylvia Co-op as well, one of our sponsors of our live stream today, along with Compeer Financial, Probert Heating and Plumbing, Bruner Seeds, Martin Transport, Osteoplastics, SFB Security Financial Bank, and Bluff Country Feed and Seed. Please thank our businesses and our sponsors for supporting these live streams. Without their support, it's pretty simple. We would not be able to bring you live streaming coverage of the Pierce County Fair Beef Show. So give these businesses a call, drop them an email, visit their businesses. Please tell them thank you for supporting these live stream broadcasts. It does make a difference. Trust me, it really does. It helps us be able to get sponsors for next year as well. So please thank these folks for supporting our broadcasts. And coming up tonight, 6:30, we're scheduled to have live streaming coverage of the Pierce County livestock auction as well. Dairy show will be tomorrow about 9 o'clock. WRDN is your home for farm news and markets throughout the entire day, Monday through Friday. We feature 7 hours of farm programming Monday through Friday. It all starts out at 5 a.m. from 5 to 7 with the WRDN Morning Farm Report.
Sponsored by individuals. I would like to thank all those plaque sponsors for contributing to those plaques year after year. They are very much appreciated, and I know how much the kids love getting those plaques. So thank you very much on behalf of the beef kids.
Out here for your selection of your champion and reserve commercial, and kind of like I've said all day, I think top to bottom we've certainly got some variation in terms of type and kind, some variation in terms of breed influence representation, but I think all the way through, I think what I try to do is I try to find those cattle that are just good in terms of their build. I think in terms of building them from the ground up, in terms of skeletal width, in terms of boneless and rib cage, youthfulness and femininity to them, I think all the way through we've got a really nice set. To me, there's a couple that just surface and rise to the forefront of just having a notch more quality. They bring together just a notch more of those key things that I'm looking for, and just combine a lot of things and just make them the most complete. So with that being said, I'll take one last look and select your champion. We'll drop second as consideration for reserve. But I think a really nice set of commercial females that show our appreciation and give them a nice big hand.
Our champion grade beef went to Adam Kapaski, and reserve champion grade beef went to Cora Kapaski. At this time, we're going to pick the Pierce County Junior Fair overall grand champion beef breeding animal between the registered beef and the grade beef. After our overall grand champion breeding animal is picked, we're going to take just a short pause. We're going to spray the ring down again.
Well, I think a really awesome set of females out here in contention for your champion and reserve champion overall female. I think we can all agree sitting ringside. These are four exceptional individuals, certainly different in terms of their type of time, but like we said, we've got two purebreds or two registered breeds and two commercials, and so they represent their respective divisions exceptionally well. I'm not going to go ahead and go through and talk about them again. I talked about them a bunch in class, but I think in terms of the structural integrity and just terms of basic build and profile and balance, and combining those that are really good and attractive, standing still and in motion, I think there's 2-3 of them that are certainly in contention out here, and it gets to be pretty close. I will show you the two that I like, but I think an exceptional set of females. Let's show our appreciation and give them a nice big hand.
Congratulations to Keaton Brown. He is our overall grand champion beef breeding animal. Congratulations to Keaton Brown as our overall grand champion beef breeding female. I would like to thank the plaque sponsor. You'll see was sponsored by Pierce Veterinary Clinic, Dr. Frank During. And this year we are giving out a really cool belt buckle. And I would like to thank the Capacity Cattle Company who sponsored that belt buckle for the champion.
right, after the quick break, we are continuing on with the beef show. In the Class J now, market beef animal.
Now entering the ring is our Class J. We'll be starting with our market beef classes. We will be starting with Lot 1, our beef feeder calf junior class. At this time, I would like to call the first class, the lightweight class of the market dairy steers. Please get on deck. Calling for the first class market beef steer. Market beef steer, our lightweight class.
Class of steer calves out here to start the Prospect Steer Show. And to me, what sorts the pairs when you get right behind them and you study them in terms of sheer muscle and power and dimension. Young lady's slicker-haired steer is going to go ahead and win. He's the one that's not more true and genuine in terms of sheer muscle mass and power, especially on the backside of his shoulder. He carries that with more width and spread over his loin edge. He's stout around his hips. He's got a shot more true muscle shape down through his center and lower quarter and stifle. I think he's going to be a tremendous speeding calf for the young lady, but just on sheer muscle mass and power with a balanced load, he's going to go ahead and win. Young lady's Baldy steer that's going to come in next. He's certainly the bigger footed, sounder featured, bigger outline steer, has the performance advantage relative to the calf ahead of it. But to me, like I just said earlier, he just gets to be a notch flatter and not quite as descriptive in terms of his muscle shape, particularly on the back side of his shoulder. He's a little bit rounder there on his hip as well. I like to change that, but I think a nice pair of calves. Let's give those kids a nice hand. studied when you step back and you talk about building one in terms of basic build, muscularity from the ground up. The young man that's right in front of me is going to go in this class. That's the one that is the lightest in terms of the base of his chest. That's the one that's the boldest in terms of his rib cage. That's the one that has the most true, genuine muscle shape down the back side of his shoulder and down his top and out of his hip. He's the most muscular down to his lower leg and stifle. So just based on a muscularity standpoint and smoothness of finish, he's going to go ahead with this particular class. Young lady in second, you want to in terms of this balance and look and show ring presence. That's the one that would win this class, I think, hands down. He's just really attractive from the profile. He's ultra youthful and extended up front. I appreciate the levelness he has to his top line and down to his hip. To me, though, when it just comes to basic build and fundamentals in this particular class, he's just a notch narrow waist in terms of the base of his chest, and as he gets out and travels, he wants to taper and funnel down through his lower leg and stifle. He wants to be a little bit narrower chested relative to the steer ahead of him. From a profile standpoint, one you can certainly appreciate. Young ladies, her first steer is going to come in next. Is one that you just appreciate the most when you get your hands on him. I appreciate this guy's degree of finish. He's going to certainly land higher into the choice grade if we get to that point. He's a stout featured, rugged build one that's soft in terms of his center body. From a show ring perspective, he's just not as attractive from the profile, not as extended up front, but certainly appreciate him when you get your hands on him in terms of his degree of finish. Young ladies, her first steer that's going to come in next is another one that you can appreciate from the side view profile. I certainly appreciate his softness of body and practicality and doability that he has. To me, though, when we set that one in motion, he wants to be more into his honk behind. He's a little bit narrower traveling, just not quite as good in terms of true, genuine base with the one that you appreciate from the side in terms of his softness of body. Young man, the steer that's going to come in next is one that's rounded, robust in terms of his grip design. I appreciate his extra hip shape. His hips, soundness of hip and pin set. He's got some muscularity down through his lower leg and stifle. To me, he's just a notch more tubular in terms of his rib design. I'd like to soften in there in his rib flank. He's a little uncoordinated as he gets out and travels as well. One that's got some shape and some muscularity. Just like to free him up on the move and soften him in terms of his center body. Young man's a short horn appearance steer is one you can appreciate from the ground up in terms of foot size and bone structure. That's one that's ultra extended up front as well. But to me, he just gets to be a notch piece here in terms of the way he's put together. He's flying there right behind his shoulder and his forerib. He's not patchier in terms of his degree of finish, or tubular in terms of his rib design, but one that's a good in terms of his foot size and bone. Certainly appreciate that about it. Young lady steer is going to run out the class with a long spine, sound structured steer. I really appreciate the flexibility that he has. To me, he just needs more time on feet, a little more tubular in terms of his rib design, a little bit lighter in terms of his overall muscularity. It's a nice class, it's a really muscular one on top. Let's give those kids a nice hand.
Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Duran Broadcasting WRDN. Click the bell for notifications of future events, like tonight's livestock auction live stream that we'll have at about 6:30, and tomorrow's dairy show. We'll be notified when the streams start. Plus, our beef show today will be saved on our YouTube channel. That should be saved by later on tonight. Yesterday's swine show is already on our channel. It's at Duran Broadcasting WRDN on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, click the little bell for future notifications. Pierce County Beef Show continuing. We're in our market beef steer classes, medium weight. Down to our final three.
Top trio of steers up here in the top end of this class. I think there's certainly some give and take on the top end in terms of just sheer muscle mass and just sheer muscular build. I think the young man's red steer surfaces to the forefront. That's one that is just so big back. He's so good in terms of the top side of his shoulder into his forearm and carries that back to a tremendously big hip, big pin set. Love the extra spiteful and true muscle shape that he's got down through his center and lower quarter. He's one that's just a notch better in terms terms of balance to his rear rib and flank. Just one that's chock full of meat and muscle and puts together a nice profile from the side. The only steer that's going to come in second, that one is obviously the first 2 minutes is better from his front knee down. He's better and square in terms of his front end design. He sets down for the more square and more secure up front. I certainly appreciate that about him. That's where he has the advantage. He profiles extremely good too. He's a notch bigger in terms of his foot size and his bone work. I certainly love that about him. To me, though, when he gets he's just not quite as opened up and square right there on the backside of his shoulder. Gets to be a little bit tighter there in his forearm. When he sets in motion, he just gets to be a nickel more uncoordinated off of his rear T relative to class winner. Wants to drop his pins ever so slightly, but I think that's getting awfully critical on a really exceptional high quality pair of steers. Youngman steer that's going to come in third is one that to be truthfully honest with you, I'd love to have a feedlot full of them. He's just ultra practical in terms of his type and kind. I love the extra shape and muscularity that he has. He's so good in terms of his degree of finish. I certainly like that about him. To me, he's just a notch crestier in terms of his neck. He's just not quite as balanced from the side. Gets to be a little bit tucked up there in his rear flank as well, but I think he ran into 2 really heavy hitters. Just a really nice practical steer that you certainly love to have a feedlot full of. Young ladies, this steer that the Hereford steer is going to come in next is one that's just relative to the rest of the class is just the most three-dimensional. That's the one that's the next widest in terms of his base width. He's next boldest in terms of his rib cage. He's next most true in terms of genuine muscle dimension on the top side of his skeleton. But to me, we just need to balance him up from the side. We need to give him more foot size and bone underneath to move him up any higher. But a really nice Hereford steer to land there next. Young lady's Hereford steer coming in next is one that's a big outline, long spine, soft body one. To me, he just gets to be more of him. We need to have him more true width and dimension underneath, a shot more true boldness and width and dimension on the top side of his skeleton. But I think a really nice big outline, long pattern steer to land in next. As we round out the class, I think these 3 steers we can talk about them. They're very similar in terms of their type and kind. They're steers that are soft in terms of their center body. They're steers that are practical in terms of their look. They've got some structural integrity. They get out and they move adequately. To me, what we need to fix them is we need to give them just true more muscularity all the way through. We need to power them up underneath and give them just a shot more true base width. We need to make them more square and secure in terms of the way that they travel. But a really nice class, a really nice trio on top. Let's give those kids a nice hand.
Watching coverage of the Pierce County Beef Show this morning. Heavyweights coming in next. WRDN, your home for farm news and markets throughout the entire day for western Wisconsin and east central Minnesota. We have 7 hours of farm programming every Monday through Friday. It starts off with our WRDN Morning Farm Report from 5 to 7 a.m. Market updates, national and local market updates, early morning market commentary, news with Max Armstrong, along with yours truly. Newsmaker interviews with agricultural leaders as well, our ag weather forecast, and some great classic country music too. That's the Morning Farm Report, 5 to 7 a.m. Hourly markets throughout the morning hours. During the noon hour, we have our noon show starting at 12:30 with an update on our markets. Farm News Max with Midwest Digest as well. And then from 1 until 3, it's Chip Flory with AgriTalk. From 3 until 4, Mike Adams with Adams on Agriculture. During the 4 o'clock hour, Susan Littlefield joins us with Final Bell and with a complete rundown of the markets. I'm talking with some of the market brokers and analysts about the markets for the day. And Max wraps things up with Farm Progress America. So join us on air on 1430 AM stereo, WRDN, or 107.3 FM as well. You can listen to us online at our website at realcountry1430.com. Just click on the on-air button. If you have an Android phone, you can download the Android app. iPhone, iPad users, download the TuneIn app and do a search for WRDN. And if you have an Alexa, well, that's simple too. Just say, Alexa, play WRDN. Your home for farm news and markets throughout the day, Monday through Friday, is WRDN. As the Pierce County Beef Show continues, we're in the heavyweight class here of our market beef steer. Down to our last 3. There's your class winner right there on the heavyweight side. That would be Leah Asher.
Challenging class as we get up here to the heavyweight division. I think a really nice complete set of steers out here. Really steer when you hit the ring, it just gets to be extremely hard in terms of just the way you want to build one, in terms of just practicality and functionality. I think that one, he's probably not the most ripped up and muscular one out here, but I think he's studying by himself. He's certainly adequate in terms of his muscle. I appreciate how square he is in terms of his build. I appreciate his extra squareness in terms of the base of his chest, the bowlies in his rib cage. He's really good in terms of his smoothness and degree and handles. He gets it set up and stopped. I think he balances up extremely well. I think just a really good combination steer that represents the market beef industry. The feedlot industry extremely well, and puts together a look to the side to represent the show steer industry as well. A nice complete heavyweight steer to start. Heavyweight is a cream-colored steer that's going to go ahead and come in next. I really appreciate the guy on the top side of his skeleton. I appreciate how much true width and dimension and shape he has on the back side of his shoulder. I love the extra expression he has out of his hip and down to his lower quarter and stifle. To me, though, he just gets to be a notch rounder in terms of his hip. He's just now a little bit more tucked up there in his rib flank that I'd like to see, but I think a really nice smoky quality steer or orange quality steer. I've got some parts and pieces that you can really gravitate towards and appreciate. The steer that's going to come in next, that's the really muscular steer, the one that's extremely expressive in terms of his overall muscle shape, but I certainly appreciate that. To me, though, he just gets to be a notch flatter where his rib cage ties and the top side of his spine. I'd like to open him up and give him a shot more true dimension and volume and capacity, but just matching the power that he has on the top side of his skeleton. Would like to give him a shot more true foot size and bone underneath. But one that's really expressive and muscular. Certainly appreciate the credibility and carcass merit that he brings to the table. The young man steer that's going to come in next certainly has the advantage in terms of landing higher probably into the choice grade than the steer ahead of him. He handles smoother with a higher degree of finish, but for me, he's just one that just gets to be a little bit off on his hip, and in terms of balance, he's not as attractive up front, but a really nice practical speed and steer for the young man to land near that hole. Young man steer that's going to come in next is another one that's down in terms of his feature, 11's extra foot signs and bow. To me, he just gets to be a little bit more peaked and flat there right behind his shoulder blade. A little bit more uncoordinated as he gets out and travels. Not quite as wide face as some of the steers ahead of him, but one that's long spine, peak body, nice feet, one for him. And lady steer that's going to come in next is another one that he appreciated from the side when you study him. He's ultra long and extend from the top side of his scales, and he balances up well. For me, we set that guy in motion, or you change him, he gets to be more uncoordinated, especially off of his rear too. He's not as attractive up front as some of the other steers, but I think just a nice profile. They want to land there next. And lady steer's going to run out of the class is one that you really appreciate in terms of his top side build. He's got some. He knows with some degree of finish. He's got some depth of body. To me, he just comes up lighter in terms of his muscularity. He's a little bit narrower in terms of his base, not quite as attractive from the profile, but a really nice class, really nice one there on top to win. Let's go ahead and give these a nice hand.
All right, at this time, we're going to pick our top 5 overall market animals, and then we'll come back with the pairs after that.
And then they're going to go back to that. I think so. Thank you to our live streaming sponsors of the Pierce County Beef Show. Thank you to Bluff Country Feed and Seed, Osteoplastics. Also Martin Transport, Hobart Heating and Plumbing, Bruner Seeds, Compeer Financial, also Alcivia Co-op, Pierce Pepin Co-op, SFB Security Financial Bank 24/7, and West Wisconsin Telecom. The Happy Duck LLC, Synergy Co-op, Shannon Crop Services, and Wisconsin Credit Union. Please thank these businesses and organizations for supporting our live streaming coverage of the Pierce County Beef Show. Without their support, we would not be able to have our live streaming coverage today. So please give these businesses a call. Drop them an email, visit their stores, and tell them thank you for supporting these live stream broadcasts.
If you have a blue ribbon in the market beef steer class, lots 2 and 3. The first blues are in the ring now. Second blues will enter as soon as he picks the top 2 here.
Selection, your champion and reserve market steer. And I think of lightweights all the way to the heavyweights. I think a tremendous amount of quality all the way through. I'll be the first one to admit, the first one to be honest with you. There's one out here that just is a man amongst boys relative to the rest. He just brings together so much power, so much muscularity, so much dimension, and it just has a really good, attractive look. He wins for fun out here, in my opinion. So I'll go take the end of your champion. We'll drop the second in for consideration to reserve, but it's a tremendous set of steers. Let's give these kids a nice round of applause.
All second blue should enter the ring at this time. The plaque was sponsored by the Brown Family Show Cattle, and he also won the belt buckle this year. Our overall reserve grand champion market beef animal went to Cora Kapasky, and you'll see the plaque was sponsored by Central Livestock Association. Third overall went to Omar Cole. Tessa Asher, and fifth overall to Henry Roll. Congratulations to all those market beef animal exhibitors. Asher, congratulations.
those steers are pretty similar in terms of their other type and kind. They've got some youthfulness and some look about them. They've got some top shape to them. They're really good. It's down out of their hip and out of their pin set. I think both of them are really similar in terms of their foot size and bone structure, long spine, and attractive looking. Both of them, I think, are both steers that are just going to take some more time on feed. I think they're going to just continue to get better as days go on. But I think a really nice pair of steers for the young lady. Wish she had more competition. Let's give her a nice big hand.
At this time, I would like to start with our market dairy steer classes, and we're going to start with the dairy feeder calf class. Lot 1. Now entering the ring, Class K, Lot 1, Dairy Feeder Calf Juniors. Last call for Class K, Lot 1, Dairy Feeder Calf Junior. On deck should be our market dairy steers lightweight class. Please get on deck. Market dairy steers lightweight class.
Congratulations.
Looks like we're down to our last three.
Class out here. Certainly a lot of variation and differences in terms of type and kind, but somebody's white steer that goes ahead and starts. When he hits the ring, that's one that just holds himself together the best on the move and on the profile. You study that one in terms of sheer power and sheer dimension. That's the one that's the truest and most genuine out of his hip. That's the one that holds himself together the best on in motion. He balances up from the side extremely well. I appreciate his softness of body. Is really youthful, attractive in terms of his look. I think he's going to be a really awesome feature steer for the young lady. A nice place to start. Young lady steer is going to come in second. Is certainly the big outline, a big high-performing kind of a calf that's got plenty of length and extension all the way through. I like his extra foot size and bone. To me, he's really strong in terms of his top line. To me, we just need to open him. We just need to stout him up out of his hip, just ever so slightly relative to our class winner. But I certainly appreciate the length and extension, the balance, the extra stoutness, the feature. Nice place to land in second. Young ladies, the steer that's going to come in next probably has the true advantage in terms of true softness of body and rib cage. He's one that's just really good in terms of his profile and his outline. To me, he's just a little bit frailer in terms of his bone work, not quite attractive up to the front one-third of his body from a balanced perspective, with a nice soft body, easy feet, Jersey kind of a steer to go ahead and land there next. Young man's our red-white steer that's going to come in next. Another one that's got some foot size and some bone, some softness in the body to him. He just a little bit rounder out of his hip from a balanced perspective, and I'd like to see just like level him out from hooks to pins ever so slightly, but a nice calf to land there next. Young man's steer is going to round out there. Come in next. It's another one that's got some softness of body to it. Appreciate the extra youthfulness and extension he adds up to his front one-third. To me, he attaches lower at his neck shoulder junction, not quite as busted open underneath. Not much true muscle shape and expression at this point in the time, at this stage of the game. But a nice calf that's really youthful and extended up front. Young steer is going to come in next. Another one that's got some softness of body to him. He's got some length and extension up front. He has the advantage in terms of the way his neck attaches to the top side of his shoulder. To me, he just gets to be a little more uncoordinated as he gets out and goes, a little more splayed out up front in those front two. But a nice calf that's got some youthfulness and extension. Going to be a nice feed and steer for the young man, for her. Young man steer is coming in next. A really strong top line steer on the top of his shoulder all the way back. I appreciate that about him. He just gets to be a little bit lower there in his neck shoulder junction, not quite as stout and powerful in terms of rib shape and body, not quite as opened up by feet to move him any higher. Young lady's red-white steer, another one that has some softness to his center body, but he just comes up and out plainer in terms of balance. He gets to be more towed out up front, not quite as proportional in terms of the way he's put together. More that soft body just needs to be a notch cooler to look from the side. These young ladies that are going to run out the class, I think both steers are pretty similar in terms of type and kind. They certainly are cattle that have some length and extension. They're good in terms of their profile. To me, they just run out. They just get out powered and outperformed today. And they just need some more time on feet. And I think once they do, they'll look a lot. They'll progress and they'll be really nice feet and cattle for the young people. Let's show them our appreciation. Give them a nice hand.
our market dairy steer feeder calf class. Our champion went to Megan Daniels, and reserve champion dairy feeder calf went to Brianna Flange. Congratulations.
Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Duran Broadcasting WRDN. Click the bell for future notifications. When you do that, you'll be notified of when we start our live stream coverage of tonight's livestock auction and the dairy show tomorrow. Today's beef show will be saved to our YouTube channel as well. That will be that'll be saved probably by later on this afternoon or into this evening. Yesterday's swine show was already on our YouTube channel. That's at Duran Broadcasting WRDN. Like, share, and subscribe, and click the bell for future notifications. So we're in the middle of the beef show here at the Pierce County Fair. Market dairy steers. We're in the lightweight class right now. Our final four.
His overall pattern and look, he's a much trimmer, much better there, especially his tail head. Certainly appreciate that about it. Much just a really nice smooth pattern steers, top body. Meat just doesn't have as much true base width, not as much true muscularity on the top side of the skeleton to go to the class winner, but I think a really nice one to lay there in a second. The red steer that's going to come in next is one that's got some base width to him. I certainly appreciate that about it. Smooth in terms of his overall look. He just gets to be a little bit shallower and tighter there in his rear rib and flank. Gets to be more rigid there in his spine as he gets out and travels. Not quite as attractive from the profile, but I think a nice steer that's got some base width, some parts and pieces you can certainly gravitate towards and appreciate. For a Jersey steer, this young lady steer is awfully nice. He's really good in terms of his softness of body. He looks, he's got plenty of length and extension. Appreciate the shape he's got down through his center and lower quarter. To me, when you get your hands on him, he's just not as impressive in terms of true muscularity and shape. That's what he lacks relative to the steers ahead of him. But one that's got some body, some rib, just need to give him more shot, more true muscularity all the way through. The nice steer student's coming in next, the big outline, long spine steer that's got some foot size and bone underneath him. To me, from a show steer perspective, he just comes up a notch plainer in his overall look. Not quite as attractive from the profile, but a nice steer that's big in terms of his type of kind. Nice steer playing there right out there in that next particular spot. Young mid steer that's going to come in next, he's a 2. It's another one that's big outline and long spine. For me, though, he just gets to be a little bit more heavy in terms of his front end design. He's deeper in the point of his chest. Not quite as balanced and attractive from the profile. He gets to be a little bit flatter in terms of his muscle, particularly out of his hip and down to his lower quarter. But one that's got some length and extension all the way through. Even the lady steer is going to round out the class as one that's certainly more practical in terms of his frame size, his bowl, in terms of his center body. We see it direction structurally as out is in terms of the way he gets out and goes. But I think one that's moderate in terms of his frame, bowl in terms of his center body. A nice class of steers. Let's give him a nice hand.
We'll continue on with the dairy market dairy steer class. Medium weights coming in next into the show ring.
class of middleweight dairy steers out here. Certainly some variation in terms of frame size and finish. So we get to study them in terms of just what they bring to the table relative to their weight. And the main steer that's going to come in first is the one that just is the combination steer for me. That's the one that's the widest in terms of true genuine base width. I really like that guy's muscularity, but especially on the backside of his shoulder, and he carries that back to a long, expressive muscular hip. Got plenty of shape down to his center and lower quarter. He's really good in terms of his size relative to his weight, degree of finish. It's a really nice complete steer to go ahead and lead off this particular class. Then he's a shorter Jersey influence steer that's going to come in next. Is one that you really appreciate in terms of his handle, his degree of finish. I appreciate the extra boldness and stoutness he's got in terms of rib design, how much back shape he truly has. He's really genuine in terms of his genuine base width and rib shape and muscularity. To me, he's just not quite as attractive and as smooth blending from part to part as the steer that wins. But I think a really nice steer. I appreciate him from a carcass merit standpoint relative to his age, or relative to his size, and relative to his specific weight. Anyways, the steer is going to round and come in next is a smooth pattern steer. I think he's just one that's really cool in terms of his look. Smooth blending from part to part, really cool in terms of his outline, really cool in terms of his profile. To me, he's just not quite as wide and as three-dimensional as the steers that are ahead of me. Just gets to be a little bit narrower chest, a little bit narrower base, but I think a nice steer to go ahead and land in third. Young steer is coming in next. Another one that's got some boldness and some softness to his rib cage. I certainly appreciate that. He's got some length and extension. He handles good and smooth in terms of his degree of finish. To me, though, he just gets to be a little bit more hopped in as he gets out and travels. Not quite as wide base underneath as I'd like to see. I like to balance him out on the side ever so slightly as well. McMahon steer is coming in next is another one that's got some length to side. He's got some softness to his center body. To me, though, that's the one relative to the head. The steers ahead of me attaches the lowest there in his neck shoulder junction. He's not quite as attractive up front, not quite as balanced. I'd like to change that about him, and a nice steer to land there. Ken Steer is going to go ahead and round out the class as one that's big in terms of his outline. Sometimes that can be kind of it's good, but then it can kind of be a detriment. He's almost just too big in terms of his frame size relative to his degree of finish. I'd like to moderate him out ever so slightly. It's just not practical enough for me, but I think a really nice concentrated steer. Let's give them a nice big hand.
We continue on. Next will be the heavyweights and the market dairy steers. our final three. Final four, rather.
In my mind, in terms of just combining with the base and boldness of rib cage and true muscle and stoutness and power, true expression of muscle, specifically in the backside of his shoulder, especially when his hooks to his pins. He's better out of his pins and he's stouter in terms of his feature. Love his extra stoutness of foot and bone that he brings to the table. Nice heavyweight dairy steer that's practical in terms of his type and kind. Nice place to go ahead and start. Young man steer is going to come in next. It's really one that's really fresh in terms of his skin and hair and presentation. Certainly gravitate towards him in that regard. He's one that's really smooth in terms of his degree and handle. He probably has the advantage in terms of look and extension up front. To me, he just isn't quite as stout and powerful, particularly from hooks to pins, that I'd like to see let go open him up in terms of just giving him a shot more true muscle mass to compete with the steer head, but one that probably bounces up from the side, just a nickel better than the class winner. Young man that's going to come in next, the red steer, that's the really high-performing steer, the steer that handles the highest degree of finition, is more likely to land higher into the choice grade, and I certainly appreciate that from a carcass and market standpoint. He certainly has that advantage. To me, though, from a balance perspective, he just gets to be a notch cleaner. His front end, those front two, kind of want to point out his play out up front. I'd like to change that about it, but one that's soft body, really been a nice feeding camp for the young man. Just like to free him up and loosen him up in terms of structure to move him up any higher. Young man's white steer is coming in next. A really smooth pattern one. He's probably arguably one of the better balanced ones of this top set of cattle. He's one that's ultra good and attractive up front, but with that being said, he's just not quite as muscular, not quite as true in terms of overall dimension and power, not quite as true in terms of muscularity relative to the steers ahead of him, and a nice one to land in the next particular spot. Young man's red steer that's coming in next, another one that's got some softness of body. He's one that's got some length of spine as well, but to me, he's just not quite as comfortable as he gets out and goes. He gets to be wants to drop and get weaker there in his loin edge. He gets to be a little bit more unproportional and unbalanced as you study him from the side, and you open him up underneath. One that's got some softness of body, some length of spine, and vision at the bottom. His two steers that are going to round out the class, I think, are both pretty similar in terms of their type and kind. Their steers are long spine, they're ultra level in terms of their look. To be honest, they're just too big in terms of their frame size. They're not as practical in terms of their type and kind. Going to take a lot more time on feed to get them to get them to market readiness. So based on practicality and just overall frame size, that's when they land where they do. But you know, moderate them out ever so slightly. But steers that are nice in terms of their pattern, just a nice set of steers all the way through. Let's give those kids a nice hand.
Currently, we're in the pair of dairy market steers in this class. And coming up, we'll have the overall grand champion dairy steer. Thank you to our live streaming sponsors, including Wisconsin Credit Union, Shannon Crop Services, Synergy Co-op, the Happy Duck LLC, 24/7 and West Wisconsin Telecom, Pierce Pepin Cooperative Services, Elsivia Co-op, SFB Security Financial Bank, along with Hurlburt Heating and Plumbing, Bruner Seeds, Martin Transport, Osteoplastics, Bluff Country Feed and Seed, and Compeer Financial.
Here we study, we got the first set of pairs for today where we've got multiple entries and how they came in just for simplicity wise. I'm going to leave them just how they stand. Young man off to my left is going to be your first place pair. Young lady in the middle is going to be your second, and then off to my right will be your third place pair. Young man that's going to go ahead and start. Those are the cattle that are just, when you study them in terms of a basic build standpoint, those are two that are just really uniform in terms of their type and kind. They're really uniform in terms of their build. I like their practicality in terms of their size relative to their weight. That's just a really nice uniform pair to start. Young lady that's going to come in second, I think are really pair of steers that are really uniform again in terms of type and kind. Where it struggles for me is they're just a notch too big in terms of frame size, and that's where I like to moderate them out ever so slightly. But cattle have some good in terms of finish. I certainly appreciate that about them. The young man or the pair that's going to round out the class, I think a pair of steers that I think are certainly have some differences, and they're probably the most different in terms of type and kind. To me, they just need more time on feet. I just think they're just an ounce behind relative to the other one. They just need more time on feet relative to market readiness. We need to make them a notch more uniform in terms of type and kind. But a really nice set. Let's give those kids a nice hand.
At this time, we're going to call in our blue winners of the lightweight, medium weight, and heavyweight market dairy steers to pick our overall grand champion and reserve overall grand champion dairy steers.
Out here for your selection of your achievement in reserve dairy steer. I think three really nice individuals. Let's show them our appreciation and give them a nice big round of applause. I think you take a step back and you study them and you just evaluate them on what they bring to the table in terms of basic build and just where they land within their respective industry. And then you combine some of that with some look and some balance and some presence from a show steer perspective. I think there's some awfully good, there's a tremendous amount of quality all the way out here. To me, there's one that I think just combines everything, and it's just a really nice, complete package, really good in terms of its degree of finish, really good in terms of its overall look. So with that, I'll go shake your hand of your champion. We'll drop the second in for consideration of your reserve, and then we'll select your reserve. But once again, let's show our appreciation again for a nice Dairy Street show.
Congratulations to Clayton Hubert. He was
Our overall grand champion dairy steer will go to Clayton Hubert. Overall reserve grand champion dairy steer will go to Peyton Bryant. Congratulations. Next class in will be our Class L Lot 1, our market dairy beef cross classes, starting with Lot 1, dairy feeder calf, junior.
all right. So we're into our market dairy and beef cross. Coming up later on this evening, we'll have the livestock auction starting at 6:30 with live streaming coverage on our YouTube channel at Duran Broadcasting WRDN. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell for future notifications of upcoming events like tonight's livestock auction and tomorrow morning's dairy show. That's at our YouTube channel, Duran Broadcasting WRDN. We'll also have the beef show. If you missed part of the beef show, you'll be able to watch the beef show as well on our YouTube channel. By later on this evening, it'll be posted onto the channel as well. We have yesterday's swine show already on the channel. Coming up next, Market Beef Cross Steer, lightweight class. Eli Freund is the grand champion in the feeder calf class. Last class we just completed.
better with more days on feet. Young man that's going to come in next, another steer that's To me, though, we just need to make that more three-dimensional on either end of his skeleton. He gets to be narrower in terms of the way he travels. He gets to be more in it, his hop behind, and he's not slender up to his front and third of his body. The one that's big outline along the spine, we just need to open him up and make him more three-dimensional. Nice class. Let's give those kids a nice hand.
Again, watching the Pierce County Beef Show from the Pierce County Fair. I'm Brian Winnikins. So we're getting close to wrapping up here our coverage of the show. As we're currently in the Market Dairy Beef Cross Steer Heavyweight class. Again, later on this evening, we'll have the auction, the livestock auction coming up tonight, about 6:30 on our YouTube channel at Duran Broadcasting WRDN. Thank you to Wisconsin Credit Union, Shannon Crop Services, Synergy Co-op, the Happy Duck LLC, 24/7 and West Wisconsin Telecom, Pierce Pepin Cooperative Services, Alcivia Co-op, SFB Security Financial Bank, Hurlburt Heating and Plumbing, Bruner Seeds, Martin Transport of Mondovi, Osteoplastics, Compeer Financial, and Bluff Country Feed and Seed for sponsoring our broadcasts, our live streams today.
In the ring at this time is our Market Beef Cross Steers, our Dairy Beef Cross Steers. We are on our heavyweight class. On deck will be a pair of Dairy Beef Market Cross Steers.
Nice class here in the heavyweight division. How many steers can start, man? You talk about one that you're just blown away and impressed when you get your hands on it. That one's really good in terms of just true muscular back shape. He's really good, and there's so much true expression and expansion and spread to his muscularity on the back side of his shoulder. He's so square, and he carries out a tremendous amount of turn to his loin edge. He's big out of his hip, and I love how much stagnantly he's got down low. He gets out and he moves exceptionally well. He's ultra soft in terms of his body. You talk about one that just has a nice look from the side, but ultimately is really good representing the feeder cattle industry. I think that one's exceptionally good. He's going to open up with a big ribeye. Young lady says here that's going to come come in next is one that I love the front 2/3 of this guy when he first hit the ring. Really gravitates towards the type of kind that he is. Soft in terms of his body. I love his extra boldness and shape to his rib. He's just not quite as crisp but as good in terms of his muscularity. He gets out and goes. He's a little bit more labored off of his rear too. But I think a nice steer to land there in second. That's really good. It's really good in terms of her handle. She certainly handles with a tremendous amount of finish, and I think she's going to land higher there in the choice grade. If I had to predict, I think one that's really bold in terms of her center body. She just gets an trailer underneath. I like to down her up in terms of her bone work from a show ring perspective. I think her nut's not more attractive in the profile, but I think one that's really good in terms of her finish and her softness of body. Young ladies, this year that's coming in next is one that has some boldness to his lower rib cage. I think that's really good. He's soft in terms of his center body, good in his joint work. I love his foot size and bone. To me, he just gets to be a little bit more unproportional, not as attractive from the profile. His head, his neck, shoulder junction is just a notch lower. He's a little rounder out of his hip as well. I just like to lift him up in his chest, make him a notch better in terms of his profile, but one that's really good in terms of his lower rib design and style as a feature. That man Steven's coming in next, another one that's got some depth of body. You certainly appreciate that. He's long spine and smooth pattern, but for me, he just gets me flatter in terms of his rib cage. He's a little bit narrow base underneath, not quite as expressive in terms of muscularity on the top side of his skeleton, but one that's really practical in terms of his type and kind. The young man's white colored or black and white steer that's going to round out the class. Another one's got some foot size and some bone to him. He's got some length of body, but he to me just comes up to be the finest in terms of his rib cage, the lightness and his overall muscle shape. A nice class of steer. Let's give those kids a nice hand.
In the ring at this time is our pair of dairy beef cross and market steers. Next, we will choose the champion and reserve champion of the dairy beef cross steers.
Once again, another single entry, and I think this young man should certainly be commended. I think two steers that are really similar in terms of type and kind. I think they're cattle that are big, they're good in terms of their outline, they're practical in terms of their size, they're good in terms of their overall look, they're really good in terms of their muscularity. I just appreciate the uniformity that they are between the two of them. There's a little bit of a size variation in terms of frame, but in terms of just type and kind and build and just way they're put together and assembled, they're really, really similar. So it should be commended on bringing together a really nice pair of uniform steers. Let's give him a nice big round of applause.
All right, so now we'll have our grand champion dairy beef cross terrier, and that is next.
Next should be Class N, our Club Beef Herd, Country Partners, Olivet Otters, Town and Country, and Spring Valley FFA. 5 beef and 1 presenter.
Out here, we select your champion and reserve champion of the dairy beef influence. I think Crosster, I think that they said a really nice set of 4-out individuals out here. I think all 4 of them are tremendous in terms of quality. Probably what I've been looking for. They're good in terms of the base weight. They're really good in terms of just the way we put them together, building them from the ground up on a good solid foundation with plenty of width of base and bolus skeleton. Good in terms of muscularity. There's a couple on here that just kind of combine true muscle shape and dimension with a balanced proportional look and just put together a nice package and represent the show cattle industry as well as the feeder cattle industry exceptionally well. So with that, I will shake the hand of your champion followed by your reserve. So let's show our appreciation and give him a nice big hand.
Our champion dairy beef cross steer goes to Bryce Mark. The plaque was sponsored by the Jason Hoover Memorial. The reserve champion dairy beef cross steer goes to Maggie Johnson.
Well, Class N, the Club Beef Herd, that'll be our final class here. That we will be covering on our live stream, and then we'll be back later on tonight.
In the ring right now is Class N, our beef club herd.
All right, so what happens is the groups are bringing in their herds. Basically their biggest ones, and we're going to have a lot in here now. And then we will wrap things up here after this class, and we will return later this evening at 6:30 on our YouTube channel at Durand Broadcasting WRDN for the livestock auction. Again, that will begin at 6:30 tonight on our YouTube channel. We've got 4 groups in Spring Valley Country Partners, Olivet, Otters, and Town and Country.
On deck, I would like Class O, Senior Showman. If you're not in the ring at this time, we'll give a minute, and then we will start with Senior Showman.
Again, we will end our coverage after Class N, and we will return later on this evening at 6:30 for the livestock auction. They're going to write down, they'll announce the results for us here. And then we are going to break away, and we will be back at 6:30 this evening with our livestock auction.
First place club herd goes to Olivet Otters. Second place goes to Town and Country. And third place goes to Spring Valley FFA Club.
There you go. So that is going to take a wrap. We're going to take a break from here, and we will be back at 6:30 this evening with more from the Pierce County Fair with the livestock auction. I'm Brian Winnikins. Have a great afternoon.